will take it.
Welcome everyone to the virtual Auto Club Speedway for tonight's California 200 for the JoinAPS.com Cup Series round 16 and race number 2 of our playoff round that could decide our championship finale. Joining the booth here by my great friend, as always, there, Rashad. Tonight, the California 200, that's just 100 miles around this 2-mile racetrack. However, you're going to need every inch of this racetrack to get around and hopefully put yourself in victory lane here. These guys are going to be contending with something new on this race car here. They had a sizable update for this race here as well.
Yeah, they did. All these drivers got thrown a curveball, and for those of you who watched the Auto Club race in real life already know that this next-gen car was a bit of a handful for the professional drivers, so we really don't know what to expect, but already you can kind of expect the unexpected. Look right here, your front row, Trey Holmes, Andrew Rucker, neither of those are chase drivers. Our first chase drivers, then Tate Lytle in third position in qualifying. Then it's a long gap back to Shane Terrian in 8th. Only 2 of those chasers actually starting inside the top 10. Just 5 of them, just 6 of them inside the top 20. Josh Clark, Vincent Isabella, and Josh Adams all starting outside of that top 20 with Adams all the way down in 38th. So some work to do to find some pace for these guys who've been fighting for the championship all season and who are running out of time. So definitely a nerve-wracking period here. Got to get used to this car and got to figure it out. But for those guys who are mired a little bit further back in the pack, also need to make sure they're avoiding potential wrecks that take place as guys get to grips with this new car.
Yeah, you know, I thought Talladega was 2 weeks ago here. The way the starting grid has flipped everything on its head with that new update, kind of providing the unknown. I would dare say that this is a bigger wild card than perhaps what we saw at Talladega a few weeks ago. Congratulations to Trey Holmes, though, in that 88 car. This is his first career pole for the JoinAPS.com Cup Series. Great to see him lead the charge in that 88 car, beautifully colored as well. Nice paint scheme on that race machine. You see Andrew Rucker getting a playful bump from the 10 of Jared Rexing and Tate Lytle. We'll see if those playful bumps remain that way throughout the rest of the race. But we're about half a lap from getting the green flag. The only guy that can feel safe tonight is that 83 car. St. Marion doing a great job already last week. Winner at 1 week ago and able to get his first win and not lock himself in to the finale round at Iowa. Taking a look at the championship standings there real quickly there. He had already amassed, 3,000 points. The rest of the running order, though, quite tight. We'll see who will be able to have a great day here as the pace car is about to make the left-hand turn onto pit road, putting the field in the hands of Trey Holmes for the very first time. The California 200 underway here at Auto Club. Race number 2 in round number 2 is green.
Yeah, immediately guys getting off to a relatively calm start here. Jared Rexing already making a move to the inside. Tate Lytle as well making a move to the inside of Andrew Rucker, so that outside lane didn't really take off, as well as those guys on the inside led by our pole sitter. So right now seems to also be a little bit of a line starting to form around the outside of the racetrack, though Andrew Rucker looking to the inside of Jared Rexing, trying to grab back some of those positions he lost in turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, guys all the way down to the racetrack kind of fanning out a little bit, 3 wide. And excuse me, they're using all this racetrack here as we complete lap number 1. Trey Holmes leads this first lap under green.
Yes, and you can see there, this racetrack plenty wide to account for 3, 4, 5 wide action here. Don't know necessarily what to put in that position, especially early, as we see Tate Lytle under pressure from the 64 Andrew Rucker. He walked himself up the racetrack there, but now going to get that push from Jared Rexing. And just like what we talk about the draft, as one car goes slicing to the inside, take a look at that. Is that the 83? Oh no, the 02, that's your car there, Asaf. Thurquist doing a great job there, making his way inside the top 5.
Yeah, Thurquist kind of gaining positions here from his starting spot, up 1 at least from the very beginning. But you're kind of seeing this here, guys able to move all over the racetrack. We got them 3 wide just behind with who was that? That's Chad Frankenfield, Tyler Fody, side by side, 2 of our chasers, or excuse me, Fody just behind Frankenfield. But still, yeah, look at this. These guys fanned out all the way around the racetrack and all the way through the lap, not just through a corner or through the front straightaway, but it's all the way through the lap. And Jared Rexing, our new leader here, but opportunities are going to be, fairly common, I think, for drivers to try and make moves here, especially on these restarts when everyone's bunched together. But also, I think you could see a draft package that's powerful enough that allows guys to make runs, allows guys to try different racing lines to make moves. So this could be some very intense racing here all the way throughout this race, as we already have our first caution of the night.
Yeah, thankfully not any trouble in the front of the field here, but quickly under yellow, lap 4. I believe we had a lap 4 caution last week as well, so that has seemed to be the trouble issue. We take a look at the Whiskey Cast replay and see what places us underneath the first yellow flag. Oh, it wasn't the top 10, but it was right in front. Jeff Green with an issue there, and my goodness, David Tooker, Jesse Rasmussen gets involved. At least 3 cars, perhaps more. David Tooker, a well of a job, and you see that new damage model, the toe link bent on the right front suspension of that race car.
Oh, wow,
that is going to be a big penalty for that 19.
Look at that, and we're seeing the same thing we've seen in real life here, where the car is actually beached on infield, and that for David Tooker, who had a rough week last week as well, finished dead last. And was one of our chase drivers. That's heartbreaking for him as well. Look at that, Josh Clark, the other Pro Edge Toyota there inside the final 8. Also caught up in that incident. There's that toe link damage on the rear tire, and for Clark, he's again beached on this front straightaway. We'll go back to the Whiskey Cast replay, see how those two were affected, but this damage model already brutal towards those 2 drivers, as well as anybody else caught up in this first incident started by Jeff Green. You saw there the 38 at fault for it. Let's watch this 28 car of Josh Clark, see what happened here, and how he gets caught up in it. There's that incident in front of him. He tries to go to the bottom to avoid it. It's actually the hits his teammate.
Yes, they all tried to avoid it, but they all kind of stacked up, and just like that, being a victim of circumstance, you go back to qualifying here. Everything that could have been thrown at these drivers here, unfortunately, just worked out in the worst way for David Tooker. You have a new damage model that's not going to help him at all, coupled with basically a new package as we see Jeff Green just loose in front of the field. And that is going to be big damage for 2 of the Pro Edge Racing Toyota Camrys. Everyone taking evasive action except for them. They find each other. They're both sent immediately onto pit road. A lot of damage, and for David Tooker, that might be
got 8 minutes to repair.
Now a must-win situation for that 19 car.
Yeah, so we saw the toe damage. He'll have to what's called tow it back to the pits, and you're actually seeing he is getting service on that car right now. The question is this repairable damage, or how long will that 19 car actually have to sit on pit road? So still a lot to be figured out with this damage model. Is that car done for the day? We don't quite know yet, but that leaves just Tate Lytle then flying the flag for Pro Edge Racing within the chase, within our list of chase drivers. Matthew Weeks, of course, also there. He, though, was eliminated from the last round. So yeah, that's huge for that particular team there. But Tate Lytle right now running P2, flying the flag for those Toyotas. Josh Adams, who didn't actually end up making the start of this race, another one of our chasers in trouble. So 3 of them already with major issues. Chad Frankenfield, who did come down pit road during this caution, down at 28th now. The rest of our chasers up inside the top 16. But man, oh man, we saw drama for pretty much all of our chase drivers last week. We're seeing that already here, just lap 6 of 100 this week here at Auto Club.
Yeah, only 12 miles in, and it's calamity for a number, including those Pro Edge Racing teammates. You know, the boss man, Ethan Burrell, he's celebrating a birthday here tonight, but definitely did not want to see his 2 out of the 3 cars involved in an issue, and sadly that has come to fruition here early in this one. Hopefully Tate Lytle can bring home the boss man a much needed birthday gift, and one that would help solidify his ranking into the next round. It would definitely place him right up there with the championship round with Shane, as far as making Iowa a battleground racetrack for them to duke it out and have our reigning champion be a part of that outcome.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the rest of this field back gridded up and ready to go at this again. They restarted okay on the initial start. We'll see how they restart here this time on lap 6. And Jared Rexing now the guy in charge. Trey Holmes back in 4th position. So you see him on the outside. Rexing with that good jump to bring this field back to green. That outside lane once again just does not really get that start that they needed, and that's with Tate Lytle and Trey Holmes kind of lined up on that outside there. Though Lytle is still able to stay ahead of Andrew Rucker. It looks like Rexing just kind of caught the entire field off guard there on that particular restart.
Yes, you can see how important it is to restart in the line. That will hopefully propel you forward. You saw that play out there at the gateway as well, but looks like the 56 and the 64 are going to be able to regroup back in the 2nd and 3rd position there. Trey Holmes is falling back down to 4th. Alexander Vandesat in the 5th position, and then 2 and almost 3 wide briefly behind these guys. Wanted to mention there quickly how the 10 car took the lead. He went below that white line. Now, there is no out of bounds here at Auto Club. That's something that I love about this racetrack here. Even the 5 lanes above the racing surface, you add that apron, you have 6 lanes to work with here. If it's paved, you can run it, and that's how that 10 car was able to take the lead before that first caution flag.
Yeah, absolutely, and unfortunately we don't get throttle traces, here from the viewer's point of view, so we can't quite tell, and we don't get that full audio of in-car up here in the booth, but I'd love to know if these guys are totally flat out. Auto Club is a flatter track. I believe I'm correct in saying it's flatter than Michigan, which means it's going to be a little bit tougher to hold it flat all the way around, but maybe with this package, with these next-gen Cup cars, with that little bit more grip that they carry, 2-mile racetrack, could they be running flat most of the way around this racetrack? And if so, then that becomes an even crazier type of car to drive. But the way they're fanning out makes me think that there is some lifting going on here, at least in the corners.
Well, and definitely as these tires degrade eventually, something that happens in real life here is the fact that this track is bumpy. I have heard drivers say it sometimes jolts the wheel out of their hands how bumpy some of these lanes are on this racetrack, especially on the front stretch. There's one bump, there's one dip right on board. Yeah, you can see right near the safer barrier here that kind of pivots the car. You can see it is definitely not just flat riding right there. These guys will have a handful, especially as we get into a long green flag run, if that presents itself here tonight.
Absolutely. I think I've been on the receiving end of that bump once or twice before in my iRacing career, and I know what you're talking about there. But just watching here, Matthew Weeks running that relatively high line, kind of, I say relatively high line, really in the middle of the racetrack, so much real estate to the right of the racetrack, so much real estate to the left, but working out pretty well for him right now as he now moves up into the 4th position. One of our biggest movers inside the top 10, up 5 positions from his starting spot. Matthew Weeks loves these styles of racetrack. Anything greater than really 1.5 miles, and Matthew Weeks feels right at home there, so loves those intermediate to large style racetracks. So, has had a lot of success at Michigan before. Of course, a former Daytona 500 champion. Loves a lot of these funky racetracks that aren't kind of those standard cookie-cutter racetracks. And he's loving it right now in that 11 car. So, not going for a championship right now, but Matthew Weeks certainly something to prove and wants to grab a race win for
13 drivers, all within a second from Jared Rexing all the way back to Joey Chapman, the rookie.
Get out of here.
And you can see what that looks like on your screen here. And the fear that we have with this type of package here is that if the cars don't really break away, anybody that has a mistake like what we saw with Jeff Green, you could be the next guy to drive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got maybe even a bigger chance of a big one here.
There it is! Crash! The 60 car hard in the outside wall in turn 2, and they all pile up. My goodness, half the field trying to avoid this.
That was actually the big one.
That was the big one, and like I said, the fear, I shouldn't commentate anymore because this happened last time.
Man,
somebody
that's incredible. That is actually incredible. Well, I'm
speechless. I am speechless here, folks.
Genuinely
just
no
what
words.
We were talking about that, like, you just do not want to be the next guy to have an issue, and all hell has broken loose here virtually at Auto Club.
Let's take a look here.
It's gonna happen up front.
Oh no, it happened way ahead there. We just were given a key on Michael. I wonder if we can figure out who this all started with.
I saw the 60 car, Joey Chapman there become the
Yeah.
first car sideways. He and another competitor hit the safer barrier hard, and by that time, people behind them started to panic, looking for cover. They could find none.
Now let's take a look here. Here's the 60 of Joey Chapman. See if we can slow this incident down. It's the 14 of Hunter Smith. Actually gets loose off the corner, hooks Joey Chapman. There's the 60 car. You see the 69 then of Colin Bowden gets caught up in that one. The 14 car with the tally issued. You see a couple of cars there. The 05, the 15, all able to dodge it. Ooh, the 48 of Nick Massey might have
had a piece of it.
And remember, he's pretty good in terms of points, but he's not totally safe. So another one of those to watch out for. We kind of go back. There's Rusty Capel. There's kind of the second group of cars spinning here. The 6 car of Zach Evans. We saw the 3 car of Scott Haney around there. The 87 of Richard Hines. Harrison Talon survives it. We just saw Rusty Capel. Josh Hodges seems to make it. Scott Crump was not even involved in it. I don't know why he was showing up my timing and scoring there. Michael Hossack with a little bit of a grab there. We saw Michael Goodman. So, yeah, the list of drivers involved in that one. Mark Rebelas involved in that. Did Vincent Isabella make it through? It looks like he did.
He may have been spun out there, but there'll definitely be, we want to ride on some onboards and see, because this begins, you have 2 separate wrecks. You have your first initial wreck, the 14, getting loose. He hooks the 60 car. That's your first wreck. The second wreck is these guys behind them checking up to avoid the calamity in front of them. Somebody gets run into from behind, and it's on from there. A good 8, 9, perhaps 10 cars involved in this massive melee out of turn 2.
Yeah, just trying to figure out where we even start with this one. And I think it, like you said, excuse me, it's going to be with that 14 car there just getting loose off of turn number 2. Let's see if we can grab an onboard, see what that looked like from his point of view, and just give these guys an idea as to what exactly is the behavior of these cars, you know, around this racetrack. Here's Hunter Smith on board during this accident. And there you're just kind of seeing no real change in it. Loose. He might have just kept turning, and it might have actually been Chapman to move up into him a little bit, but it was the tally issued to the 14 car.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Oh, that would have been a great view of it there. As we try to count and see how many cars are in there from what TV would call the Goodyear blimp.
Yeah, let's take a look. The blimp over here might be a really good view of this. So there's that. No, it is definitely turned in there by the 14 car. So there's the 69 of Bowden. You see the 48 of Massey, the 29.
Did get a big hit out of that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And Vincent Isabella, he's going to slam the inside barrier, so there is some damage on the 12th car.
Oh, man. And then there's the second incident here that also takes place here. So there's Vincent Isabella ahead of us. There you see a number of these guys who got involved in this. So you see the checkup actually by Rebelas, and that kind of causes the second group of cars to go around. So the 44, the 3, the 9, that was who was that? The 86, I think, was dodging. 89, that might have been a Brent Jones dodging everybody, but man, craziness. Absolute craziness there.
All of that was
insane.
And with that, something we were fearing because of this new package here that's going to throw a curveball to these drivers, and something that we really saw mimic in real life, how these cars, especially, I don't know if you watched them practice Auto Club. I remember that very, very vividly. We had a number of spins come out, these guys, in the real world. So I believe iRacing, it's all too realistic, and a lot of these drivers finding that out very hard.
Gonna head back to Green Flag Racing here as we run into a couple of technical issues. We might be back with you guys audio-wise in just a moment. But we'll keep you guys with video because we're going to need that for him. But, yeah, we'll keep an eye out on this as it rolls. And back to Green Flag Racing, Dustin Dewar up front in that 32 car, staying out on pit road. It's an interesting call there, and worked out so far with pit road.
Yeah, well, at least to get you away from the mayhem that is behind, and that is second place on back. Take a look at this Hornet's nest there. Did you think this doesn't look like the racing of which we just had a 10-car crash? These guys have put that in the back of their mind, and they are absolutely going for it here. This is extreme draft racing. That looks like Talladega, 200 miles an hour entering the corner.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Look at how close this is between these
Oh,
guys, and we do apologize on stream momentarily. I've muted the the race audio, so you can't quite hear the cars there. But yeah, I mean, just absolute craziness going on further back here. 33 car of Michael Daniel Martinez up 11 spots from his starting spot, all the way up and down the inside of Trey Holmes now, the pole sitter, trying to work his way forward. We're seeing guys with certain bits, again, like you said, momentum is really the major feature that we're seeing in the way this race is shaping out, playing out. And if guys can get momentum, they can really roll their way forward very quickly.
the 32 car who stayed out. I have to wonder if that was a strategy call to perhaps save a set of tires right there on the 32. But that clean air, it worked until it didn't. He got passed by the 11 car, and now I believe we're going to see that 32 car begin to back up. Matthew Weeks now your new leader. Here comes the 88 of Trey Holmes to his outside, the 40 of Tyler Fody, trying to rebound after what's been a disastrous couple of weeks in that Chevy Camaro there. He has not finished inside the top 20 at all. He's going along to the high side. He'll take up more as, wow, cutting across 3 lanes. Normally that would make somebody mad, especially without a turn signal. Here, that's just another day in the life of racing at Auto Club.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is LA traffic, right? That's what they say. All these lanes of cars moving all over the place, and that's what they say is, look at that, 4 wide going through there with yeah, I can't even tell who all was involved in that. There's cars moving all over the place. I saw Dustin Dewar. We had Alex Van de Sant, I think, was in that particular 4 wide. Chad Frankenfield just ahead of it. You see Harrison Talon up there on the top side, and here we are again. You can see these guys 4 wide maybe at one moment on the racetrack, but we can see guys occupying 5, maybe even 6 different lanes on the racetrack just through turns 3 and 4. It's really impressive the way this race kind of fans these cars out, the way this racetrack works. And from the last thing I saw, I'm pretty sure we're keeping this as a 2-mile racetrack in real life as well, because I don't want to see this go. I think racing on Auto Club has been fantastic, and I love racing at Auto Club, and this is one of those examples of how great the product can be.
Exactly, especially with what we're seeing here. These guys are not, they're able to give each other an inch, and they're using every bit of it on the racetrack here. I love this 2 and 3 wide action here. It gets you on your feet here. However, the problem that we have, and that would be with any racetrack there, is once somebody has a problem like that, Jared Rexing into the outside wall, is there enough room? Is there enough time to get around him? Thankfully, there was right there.
Man, oh man, this is getting pretty heated throughout the field. 2 by 2 now, just behind our 2 leaders. Rucker and Trey Holmes have somehow managed to find their way back up front. But now you got Fody Martinez side by side, or now they've single filed out. But then Matthew Weeks alongside Harrison Talon. You got Frankenfield alongside the 84 of Wyatt Canadle. So yeah, all the way through here, the 83 of Shane Terry, and right now he's able to just ride and enjoy this that's going on around him. Of course, he'd love to grab another win if he can, but he's safe to go into that next round of championship drivers. But, I mean, you go out to this top 8, and Tyler Fody, Chad Frankenfield are your only chase drivers in all of this. And a lot of these drivers yet to see victory lane at all.
Yeah, that's incredibly poignant there to mention that the Tyler Fody, Chad Frankenfield, both these guys have not visited victory lane, as we see more cars venture to that high lane, especially on exit of turn 2 right there. You can see just what it is. And just like at Talladega, you really need to perhaps try to plan your move. Make sure you have somebody go with you there, because if you don't, you're going to be backing up in the draft or on the inside with nobody help behind you. You're going to lose a ton of positions. As we see Tyler Fody, he was able to use that draft to his advantage. He slingshotted to the inside of Trey Holmes, and then by on the exit of turn 4, he was able to complete the pass, and now he's getting a push from the 88 car. Fody doing a well of a job so far. He has moved up 11 positions since the start.
Yeah, great movement there from Fody up into the 2nd position. We'll see if he can challenge now Andrew Rucker, who has a little bit of a lead. But yeah, I just got a great note from on the ground. I think the largest gap between any 2 drivers right now, it was about 0.3 of a second. Right now, it's only about half a second between Alec Balvans and Cody Harrington. Outside of that, everybody here within a 1/10, 0.2, a 100th of a second of each other. And we've got full-on Talladega spec racing here, 2 by 2, all the way down the front straightaway.
And let me tell you, with a race that we know going to Talladega and going to Daytona, the mindset of a driver is, okay, I'm going to be with people all race long. When it comes to Auto Club, I think you kind of turn that mentality off. But when it presents itself again, you as a driver, I don't know if you're kind of expecting that. Like, hey, this is type of Talladega racing. And I mentioned that because that style of racing is mentally exhausting. These guys have to plan their move. They have to, we see the 23 Harrison Talon. Oh, Tate Lytle bounced off to 70, and he hangs on. But wow, just as I was saying there, the mentality of plate racing, if you could call that what we used to call plate racing at the super speedways at Daytona and Talladega, it very much is a mental game. And that mental game has now traveled all the way to California here. These guys are definitely going to be thinking about that all race long in order to make sure they have the great passes that they can and need to in order to put themselves in position later on. My thought process, and sorry if I was a little long-winded with that, is that it could just be mentally taxing after a race at Daytona and Talladega, especially if you're not prepared for a Daytona or Talladega type race.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, these guys right now, you have to spend the early parts of this race focusing on figuring out where you can make runs, figuring out guys who you can work with. Because I think you do have to have maybe at least a little bit of help from another driver, especially if you're trying to make a big run late in the race. But even then, just individual drivers figuring out where they can run their cars, what's effective in terms of making moves, especially throughout the tire run, because you don't know what tires you're going to have at the end of this one. Are they going to be worn from a long green flag run, and all of a sudden you guys have a chance to restart, or are they going to be fresh tires where you kind of have a short run to the end? Guys are able to come down hit pit road. We really don't know. So right now, these guys, throughout the entire lifespan of these tires, are figuring out where that grip level is, how it's dropping off throughout the run. So again, you're just prepping yourself for the last 5-10 laps, however long you think it's going to take to work your way up towards the front. So all these drivers working for that right now. Of course, some drivers would like to lead the whole way, not have to worry about anyways, as Tyler Fode does take over the lead of this race, now up 12 positions, looking for his first win of the season. As crazy as it is to say that, Tyler Fode right now winless in 2022, at least in the Cup Series, but he's hoping to maybe change that here tonight at Auto Club.
Doing a great job so far as I continue to look on the running board, and yes, about 13 cars, all separated by less than 2 seconds. We start to see the field beginning to string out, and I believe that is what we're seeing is a factor of tire wear. These guys aren't going to be flat-footed around here. Tire wear is definitely a factor when we come to Auto Club, and I believe it will play out here, especially with a long green flag run. This is the longest green flag run we've had of the night. Still early, but I believe these guys can go about 60 laps, so we knew we were going to have to make at least one green flag pit stop. Might be a little less than that. It might be around the 50 lap or mark or so, but these guys will still have to make a green flag pit stop. We know that. As we see one car go down pit road there, and that did not look like it was an intentional pit stop.
Yeah, that was the 69 car there of Colin Bowden. I don't know if he slipped off the racetrack, or that might have been a retirement from that car there. 69 car, Colin Bowden dives to pit road very quickly, and yeah, that might just be a retirement from that car. We'll take a look. Sitting on pit road right now, but certainly going to have to serve a speeding penalty, maybe even just loose off of turn number 4. Sent that car down pit road.
Skidded down pit road there. You can see some of the smoke still lingering after that unexpected pit stop there. I guess that's something that's always nice for iRacing versus real life here. You can just go in and get service no matter when you decide. Crew guys in real life might be like, eating ice cream or something like that, but
they were able to keep them on their toes.
Those guys were ready for what that 69 car had for them. New second place driver, Trey Holmes. How about that 88 car? He is having a well of a job wheeling that 88 machine.
Yeah, he's adapted really well to whatever this update is and the handling model, or just adapted well to this racetrack here at Auto Club. Again, a unique style track. I don't remember what his result was from Michigan earlier this year. I'd have to run back and take a quick look at that. But this could also be a type of track, a type of setup that really does suit that 88 car suits Trey Holmes, and yeah, right now showing it, of course, that pole position, showing that it wasn't a fluke, and it wasn't just one lap pace. He's able to hold this throughout the course of a run. So yeah, impressive run so far for Holmes. Let's see if he can keep this up and potentially pull out a result here for that 88 car. Would be a great momentum for him, especially moving into next season, as he's not one of our chasers.
Speaking of our chasers, to give you a quick running order where they are currently, Tyler Fody is in the #1 spot, just behind him. New fourth place driver Tate Lytle doing a great job there, trying to bring home the Pro Edge Racing. We mentioned the boss man celebrating a birthday there. He would like to give the boss man a birthday present. You see Shane in that 83 car, the only driver that is safe. He is already into the final round at Iowa in 2 weeks' time. He's just kind of out there for a California drive. Everybody else, though, definitely in some rush hour traffic. How about the 15 of Chad Frankenfield? He is in the 12th position there. Has had an up and down day so far. We've seen him as high as, I believe, inside the top 5, but also made an earlier pit stop under, I believe, that second caution flag with Mard back all the way in 20th position. Has now kind of been caught in the middle of that and still running along in the 12th position. The Nick Massey, the 48 car, he did get some substantial damage to the front end after being tapped from behind by Trevor Elam in that big one that we had on lap 12. Looks like he was able to fix the damage, but definitely knocked some pace out of that race car there. He is just ho-humming along in the 19th position. And then some of the drivers that were involved in that big crash. How about the 12 car Vincent Isabel? We saw him slide into the inside safer barrier, and that car has not been able to pick up the pace ever since. He's still back in the 26th position. And then the 95 of Joshua Adams as well, I believe, was involved in that big crash. You see some of the damage to the back end of that car, and then behind him, the Pro Edge Racing machines of David Tooker and Joshua Clark. Both those drivers involved in the very first crash that we had on lap number 4 when Jeff Green got loose. Tooker still riding along in the 40th position there, but hoping for a miracle and trying to get every point he can should anything else happen to the front 8 in front of him in the points.
Yeah, Tooker's about to gain 2 spots within the next couple laps here, passing Hunter Smith and Joey Chapman. Both drivers are out of this race. But outside of that, not too many other guys who are still running on the racetrack. Colin Bowden, who's finished 27 laps, would be the next driver potentially that Tooker would be able to pass if he continues running to the end of this race. But yeah, without any other major incidents, Tooker only looking to gain maybe 3 or 4 positions. But remember, all those points matter, and it could make a difference for him at the end here. But obviously, back-to-back races outside of the top 30 is going to be very painful for the 19 car's chances, and it could come down to him having to pull out victory at Bristol, something that he's done before.
Yeah, you don't want to have your back against the corner, but if your back is against the corner, I can think of a couple of drivers I would want to be in my corner, and David Tooker is one of them. We'll see what happens here, as tonight has just not been his night at all, really, this round for him. See a new second-place driver, though, his teammate Tate Lytle. We mentioned how well he does during the playoffs, was unable to get that first win of the round of 2 there, which would have been 4 in a row for him there, but he's looking to follow that up there perhaps just 1 week later.
Yeah, I think he'll take a second and a first. If that's what it comes down to. Tate Lytle right now really turning on the jets there in that 56 car. Last time around, 1/10 of a second faster than just about anybody else inside the top 5. The only other guy, similar pace, Chad Thornquist right now, who's now up to 5th place, but still trails a little bit from the rest of these guys. This next time by, they just crossed the line once again. Tate Lytle, 1/10 and a half faster than Tyler Fody, and he's going for that pass for the lead now on lap 37.
Yes, he went to the left elbow of the 40 car there. He'll drop down 2 lanes. Tyler Fody way up high and exit there, trying to get the momentum. Will it be enough? No. Looks like the 56 car clears up in front. And we have a new leader, our reigning champ, trying to put his number on the board for the first time today. If he crosses the stripe, he'll do exactly just that, earning yet another point in his total. Third place driver we have not mentioned as well. How about Wyatt Canadle, the rookie? doing an excellent run there, and he's setting his sights on the 40 as well. He's worked his way up almost 7 positions. He had a great qualifying position as well, started inside the top 10, and now he's running along in third, looking for more.
Yeah, Canadal has had an absolutely, he's had an up and down season for sure. That pole position at Motegi being one of those highlights. But yeah, right now the pace that he's showing in that 84 car, really impressive. Honestly, that fueled up racing crew in general showing up with some very impressive pace. Wyatt Canadal there in third position, Trey Holmes right behind him in fourth position. Then you go back, you've got Daniel Martinez right now in 12th, but he was running pretty high up the order as well earlier on in this event. So super impressive by all of those guys. Harrison Talon a little bit further back, but again, he was kind of very much in the mix, has dropped back a little bit since then. But yeah, all of those, look out for those Camaros from Fueled Up Racing, all of them looking very impressive right now in the early stages of this race. And I say that we're approaching lap number 40 of 100, and they're still there, especially, you look at Canadal and Holmes. So keep an eye out for them. They could definitely be spoilers for this, especially if you're watching Tate Lytle and Tyler Fode, both guys who need a win, or maybe not need, but desperately want one to not have to worry about whatever happens next week at Bristol to make the championship race. But Canadal and Holmes could prevent anybody from locking themselves into the next round.
Very, very true. As I take a look at the top 10, I believe only one driver has actually gone to victory lane this year inside the top 10, and that would be Tate Lytle there. Everybody else behind him still looking for their first win of the season. So quite the parity we're seeing inside our top 10 currently.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm sorry, Chad Thornquist did get a win there.
Yeah, Thornquist has grabbed one, but yeah, I mean, even outside of that, inside your top 15, I think it's Lytle, Massey, and Thornquist. I think are our only race winners this season. Just looking through this, excuse me, weeks as well. But wow, like that.
Yeah.
Just looking at that, the new update has certainly increased the parity, I think, within the field. Or it's just as we said last week, I think, and have been saying all season, it is really hard to win in the elite racing leagues. There are some extremely talented drivers who are currently winless throughout this season, and it's not because they aren't good enough to win or anything like that. It's just very hard to win. There's just not enough races for all of these guys to grab wins each season, as there's Shane Terrian, who actually was a lap down, just unlapped himself from the leader. But of course, again, not really any concerns there for the 83 already locked into Iowa.
Right there, though, you definitely got a taste of what new tires versus the ones that are on the 56 car there. I mean, he blew by him, and that's important to note because when you decide to make a pit stop there could very well put you on the good end or the bad end of where drivers around you are setting up for their pit stop there. So that 83, I don't know if that was a scheduled pit stop. It might be. You might be able to make it to the end. I believe the fuel window was right around the 60 lap mark. And so quite the early pit stop for the 83 there, but he's played the long game, and why not? When you're already locked in for the next two races there, why not go for broke?
Well, yeah, it could potentially even be, if you're talking about, a 60 lap potentially run there. Could this be Shane Terrian short pitting the first stint and running this all the way to the end here? Pitted on lap 36 would be a very long run, but that could be the length of the fuel run and saying, hey, I'm going to go for the undercut of all undercuts.
It could be, or I'm trying, and perhaps Dave, our trusted in-race reporter there, might be able to do some digging for us and let us know exactly what a fuel run is for these guys. I don't want to talk up any drama in case, unless there is definitely some. If they have to make another pit stop there, then that would obviously mean that everybody would have to go down pit road twice. Still, though, quite interesting to see him in the pace difference we're seeing with new tires. Ooh. You saw the 97 car get very close to the outside wall right there. Looks like the 64 Andrew Rucker going to try and take advantage. In the 38 of Jeff Green, I don't know if he's on the lead lap.
He is not after that first incident there. So the 38 car just supporting the 97 there down the front straightaway. And then there you go, 38, potentially with some of those fresher tires as well. We'll take a look here. Last pitted on lap 4, actually. So Jeff Green just finding pace right now on some very old tires, or potentially just that 97 of Alex Van de Sant struggling just a little bit with that pace. There goes the 33. That's new tires for you.
That is, I mean, he looked like he put on the afterburner. Whoa! Hopefully he can get around. Is that the 88? It
Uh,
is.
33. Yeah, he got around the 88 there. 33. Michael Daniel Martinez easily going to fly by our leaders. Actually, maybe not. Jared Rexing trying to open up that corner there and slows down the 33 a little bit, but there's that cornering pace. Just easily flies by the 10, by the 02. No worries at all there. Of course, this is going to wear out for Martinez, and he'll lose this advantage relative to everybody else in the field later on in the race, but this call could be track position now, and maybe once everybody comes down for for pit stops, if a caution comes out, it kind of opens up that window for how long you have for a caution to come out to bring the field back together, bring you down pit road, and suddenly you have a tire advantage again.
My goodness, there. I know he's sponsored by Pepsi with the red and blue, but I have to look at that car twice to make sure there isn't an S on board. He's like Superman flying through this field. He'll just pass by our leaders like they are standing still. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, that's really impressive there, and that's to watch out for these guys. What that equates to in lap time, he just did a 41.9 that last time around. Remember, got a little bit checked up from some other drivers. This past time lap, Tate Lytle did a 43.61, so second and a half more than that, faster than the leaders right now for Daniel Martinez, and yeah, it's going to work for him early on. He's going to get track position once everybody else comes down pit road. But remember, they're all going to then be coming back at him with this same amount of pace.
And where the trouble will begin to brew is when you're catching guys that are significantly off the pace, such as that later on in that run. We could see, guys get impatient with one another or perhaps not slowing up for one another. You catch a driver at such a difference here. And I mean, that was considerably, a 10, 15 mile per hour difference on the straightaway there. That might not be much on paper, but on the racetrack here, or in real life and virtually there, that is substantial.
Yeah, it really is. And again, we'll see. We've seen strategy games play out, and I'm excited to see us have one of those potentially play out here tonight at this California 200 here as we're approaching the halfway mark. You're starting to think about this. This could be that one-stop race to the end for these guys who all pitted under caution. I think it was that second caution that they all pitted under. But yeah, I mean, this could be one stop from here to the end. It should be one stop from here to the end, and it's all going to be about when you can make that stop. When does that window open up? When does it close? And figuring out the exact right lap within that window, because I think it's going to really, really affect the way this running order finishes out. It is very much going to be a when you pit type of deal here.
Yeah, and then, my mindset taking off the driver cap and putting on the crew chief cap, which these guys have to wear simultaneously, is when do you decide to pit if you're amongst these front five here? Obviously, I think you want to stay in tow with a guy that perhaps you're behind, but if you're trying to leave people in the dust, I say you want to uppercut and go in early. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, for the most part, I do like to do the undercut. Maybe not as aggressively as we're seeing some drivers.
Yeah.
Um, but
undercut. I misspoke there. My bad. I said uppercut. I meant undercut there. I guys.
We knew what you meant.
Unfortunately, it has not been my best night here talking. I'm a little bit under the weather here, so don't fault me.
No worries at all there. But yeah, no, I like to lean towards that little bit of the undercut. You get that pace advantage, and when you have track position and it's only a couple laps worth of an undercut, then you can kind of defend against that. When you're doing a 20, 30 lap, or even a 15 lap undercut, that becomes a little bit significant, and you start to get into the phase of eventually these guys are going to come back at you and you can't defend. There's just no simple way to defend from them. There is a little bit of a window where you can kind of make it work. So, we'll see as it plays out. It's not too often you see these aggressive strategies work out in the sense that they're going to win you the race, but you can definitely gain quite a bit of track position. So we'll take a look out. And again, a lot of this depends on when a caution might fly. There could be very good timing for guys who did come down pit road, very good timing for guys who haven't come down pit road yet, and it's all going to be dependent on that. So all of these guys are taking a risk right now based on when they think this next caution is going to come out.
Jared Rexing is in the fourth position there. He's about 2 seconds behind our top three, Tate Lytle, Tyler Fode, and Wyatt Canadal, have been able to drive away, and excuse me, about 1.2 seconds, but still quite the gap. That's the biggest gap we have seen since the drop of the green flag. A three-car breakaway there, trying to distance themselves from the rest of the field.
Yeah, for sure. The 84 of Wyatt Canadal has been very impressive these last few laps. Recently just put in a similar lap time to the leaders, but has since caught them. So he's right there on the tail of Tyler Fode and not too far behind Tate Lytle either. And again, 2.1 seconds ahead of Jared Rexing. So impressive pace for this 84 car. We'll see if he can make a move or if he's going to hang on right now to those leaders. Meanwhile, a little bit further back here, Trey Holmes, Alex Van de Sant have been going at it for a number of laps recently, just going for this sixth position. And right now, not able to make a move quite yet for Van de Sant. But again, very similar lap times on the racetrack. That last time around, even lap times, just across the stripe this time by Van de Sant with a slight advantage. And we'll see if he can make a move. He's going back up to that high line. We've seen this time and time again. Van de Sant really loves to run high on most racetracks, and he's trying a little bit of a higher line again here at Auto Club.
First off, my sources are telling me that I was indeed correct. The window is about 55 to 60 laps. Shout out to Ethan Burrell, who was able to give that information to me. So it does sound like that some of these guys that make their pit stop, they've made their last pit stop unless we see the yellow flag come out. So this is going to be very interesting as we just cross halfway. How well will those guys that just pitted, how further up the road will they be once these guys decide to come down pit road?
Yeah, that is really the question, isn't it? It's how far up the racetrack do these guys get? Dustin Dewar coming down pit road right there, just caught that. But let's see, where is the 33 car right now actually in the running order? He's kind of been our benchmark. Daniel Martinez actually just driving by the 32 car on the racetrack. So Daniel Martinez right now sits in 28th position. He's 34 seconds behind Tate Lytle. Time on and off of pit road is approximately 52 seconds there on and off pit road. Of course, there's going to be some gap there in between, of course, because pit road is over a certain distance of the racetrack. So let's say maybe a 40-second deficit. Right now, if all these guys were to come down pit road under green this lap, Daniel Martinez, I think, should be your race leader, unless there's a couple of guys who are on fresher tires than him. But I believe he has the freshest tires of them all. Actually, Shane Terrian would be your leader than Daniel Martinez. So those are the guys to watch out for. But again, they right now would only be about maybe 7 to 8 seconds ahead of the leaders if those leaders were to come down pit road. So that gap's very easily going to be closed back up if those leaders are suddenly running a second a lap faster than they are. And Shane Terrian, that last lap, just put in a 43.2 already. So he's starting to get to that point where these guys are on slower tires. So those guys come down, put on new boots, are running high 41s. They're going to catch Terrian crazy fast.
They really are. And I've done the math. In the 56th, they last went on pit road at lap 13 during that second caution flag, our big one of the night, out of turn 2. But if we stretch that out all the way to the fuel window of 60, they would have to pit around lap 73. So that's about less than 20 laps from now. I don't believe we're going to see anybody take a two-tire or stop. You're still going to have about 27 laps to go to the finish there. I don't think that would be enough of a benefit in order to take that shorter pit stop there and avoid having anybody behind you catch you. But it also might be something that might be on the minds of some of these drivers as we see the 87 car go down pit road. These are all scheduled pit stops. 23 Harrison Talon coming in hot. Hopefully at the 55-mile-per-hour mark, he will come and get service as well. But these front three, they are off and away. They have now increased that gap to fourth place to about 3 seconds. Wyatt Canadal doing an excellent job here, hanging tough with these veterans.
Yeah, he really is. And this battle for the lead starting to heat up just a little bit more. This is the closest we've seen Tyler Fode to Tate Lytle for a little bit of time here. That last lap, again, ran identical lap time. So Fode's been closing up over the course of the last few laps. and Knadel kind of hanging on, but I think Fode's also starting to up the ante just a little bit here, starting to push Tate Lytle, and we'll see now if Fode decides to go for a move, if he's just trying to get that 56 car to increase the pace. He's seen that threat from those guys behind, maybe just trying to get a little bit more lap time out of these cars if he can. But yeah, I mean, look at that. Knadel now right on the tail of this lead group. As we do have the first of our main leaders coming down pit road, Chad Thornquist, a little bit earlier than some might want to go down. Typically, the Tyler Fode strategy that we're familiar with is he likes to run his tires and fuel as long as it will possibly go. Try to remove any kind of risk of a safety car messing things up for him. But of course, that does put you at risk. If it does stay green all the way, does he have enough laps on fresh tires to catch the rest of the pack? So might have to manage something either way, but we normally see that 40 car going as long as he possibly can into the fuel run.
Let's talk about the risk versus reward with a caution flag coming out. So if the caution comes out right now, basically everybody that's on the lead lap is going to be safe with their position there. They're going to have to go down pit road. Anybody that was caught a lap down, they could take the wave around, but they're going to be off cycle, especially on those older tires there. That's not going to really help benefit them. However, if this goes green, then that pendulum swings the other way, and those guys that are on pit road, they then see the advantage of, we see the 40 car get loose right there. That was an excellent shot. You see Fode doing an excellent job wheeling the inside of that Chevy Camaro. But as I was mentioning there, the guys that have already completed service there, they will then be in front of these guys as the everything started to
29 car Trevor Hill. I'm sorry, just like slid into the shot there.
Right there. Hopefully nothing transpired. We'll try to get that fixed. There it goes. I just saw the 29 there, and just as we were talking about him, he's already passed. Our 64 car is on pit road, as well as the 15 at Chad Frankenfield. These are going to be scheduled pit stops, the last pit stops of the night, should we not see the yellow flag.
Yeah, they absolutely will. And with that, we're actually going to step away for just a brief moment. We'll come back to you with our sponsor reads for the night, but we're going to try and fix this audio for you guys, as it seems that we're going to go green all the way to the end of this one, at least for now, as there goes that 97 car flying by our leaders. Pit stops for the leaders coming up very shortly. Well, here at the JoinAPS Cup Series and at the Elite Racing Leagues, we of course have to thank our fantastic premier sponsors. So we're going to start, as always, with C2 Freight Resources. They offer complete freight management services and are ready to meet your needs today, as well as your changing needs in the future. With thousands of qualified carriers in their database, they're capable of handling shipping for every type of good, from perishable foods all the way to office equipment. With their electronic data interchange services, they also allow shippers to keep close electronic tabs on their shipments throughout the entire freight movement process. We also want to thank Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses. If you're a small business owner, then Blue Egg Marketing is your absolute biggest fan, and they are your marketing department. Whatever your constraints are, they help catalyze creativity, and they'll help your business punch well above its weight class. And finally, of course, Powerhouse Recycling. They strive to offer the highest level of customer service in the industry for each load process time and time again. Attainable account representatives, prompted on-time pickups, and customized recycling solutions keep Powerhouse Recycling as a North Carolina market leader. And finally, of course, our series sponsor, JoinAPS. APS, we don't get a chance to talk about them as much as we'd like to, as we do have a pass for the lead going out on the racetrack. But APS, they offer a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card related transactions. Their industry-specific solutions provide the best options for your business model and have experienced client service representatives who understand what your processing needs are. Alex, battle for the lead, very much on track right now. Tyler Fode trying that outside lane. Andrew Rucker on those fresh tires, getting his lap back, but surely pit stops are incoming for these leaders as well.
Yes, these guys, we expect by my calculations to be on pit road on lap 73 or earlier. We'll see what happens as, yes, not only is that a pass for a lead, that is a pass. Oh, these guys are about to go down pit road.
There you go.
Right now.
And yep,
so I always say, don't take yourself out. This is a very important pit stop. They all pit together. Let's see if they'll all leave together. See the 40 and Nick Bassey going to join in. That hands over the lead to the 91 and Johnny Thomas. All these are going to be 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. But here comes the 83, who first pitted on lap 35. And he is going to take the lead away while these guys are on pit road. Now he'll have his work cut out for him. These guys are going to be insanely fast once they come back out on the racetrack there. Will they have enough time? There'll be 35 laps on the board. And it just might be enough for those guys in order to catch them. You see Tyler Fode in the 56 able to get back on a little bit of a slower stop by Wyatt Canadle. He'll lose touch with those front 2 just a little bit. Actually, a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was a little underestimated that gap. I think I said it would be about 15 seconds. Right now, 18 seconds on the racetrack right now between Fode and Terrien. So they're thereabouts at the very least. And so now the question is, what is the pace advantage that Fode and Lytle have to catch the likes of Shane Terrien? Johnny Thomas has to still come down pit road, but Terrien, in theory, is able to make it all the way to the end of this one. At least it's going to be very close if he can. But yeah, that last time around ran a 43.87. Daniel Martinez ran a 43.66. Those guys running second and third right now will soon be first and second. Meanwhile, we'll see once Tyler Fode and Tate Lytle come around and do one lap at speed, what the pace looks like for those guys on the fresh tires.
And right now you're seeing what I like to call, as Darrell Waltrip famously calls, co-opetition. Right now you're cooperating with your competition right there. I believe it's in both these guys' virtue in order, the 40 and the 56 car, to make as much time together, getting themselves up to the front. Let's race it out amongst ourselves once we capture the lead. But for right now, and me putting on, or taking off my anosat and putting on my driver cap, I like to work with somebody in order to make sure that we both have a common goal. Let's reach the first place before we battle for first place. Because you can lose the race right now battling amongst yourselves. I don't think these guys want to do that.
Absolutely. So for them, 41.91, 41.83 for those 2 drivers that last time around. That's maybe not as concerning to catch Shane Terrien and Daniel Martinez, I think. However, the concerning thing for me would be the drivers who are about 2 to 3 seconds up the road from these 2 drivers who are our leaders, and those are going to be Chad Frankenfield and Jared Rexon. There you can see the gap. It's nothing major, but they're running the same lap times more or less than these guys. Just came down a few laps earlier. Again, this is kind of that minor undercut that I was talking about. Frankenfield came down a lap 60 versus 65 for Fode and Lytle. I think Frankenfield might get caught here. Rexing as well, but Andrew Rucker is a further second and a half ahead of those guys. He pitted lap 62. Again, a little bit of a smaller undercut. Or excuse me, Rucker pitted on lap 60 as well. So a little bit of a similar undercut to Frankenfield. 3.5 seconds ahead of Fode and Lytle. Harder to close that gap when these guys are on similar age tires. Versus Terrien, that gap will close a lot faster. Yeah. But I don't know, Rucker's going to be a tougher one to catch. Already that gap between Fode and Terrien, what it was, like 18 seconds when they left pit road, it's sitting at 12 seconds now.
Yes, so I believe we can expect these guys to catch them, but these guys aren't going to make it easier on them just because they have newer tires. And as you mentioned there, that minor undercut, see, I don't know why I keep wanting to say uppercut. That minor undercut there is enough to play a little bit of havoc on these guys. I think they can defend that, especially with the lines that they're running. And as we mentioned, this racetrack wide enough to do exactly just that.
And Shane Terrien does come down pit road, so that was not a strategy call from the 83 car to make it to the end. He was trying something out, maybe hoping for a caution there to shake things up, but Shane Terrian, I think, was just outside of that window to really make it. Now Chad Thornquist takes over the lead, and Daniel Martinez is on a very tightly regulated fuel run, I'm sure right now, running in the 4th position. He is running further off the pace than anybody else, and he's going to get passed by most of these guys, I think, here relatively soon. We'll see if the 33 can make it all the way to the end. But you look also at Chad Thornquist, who is, how far is he? 7 seconds ahead of Tyler Fody. Alex Van de Sant, who's 5.5 seconds ahead of Tyler Fody. These guys pitted 58, 57. They're not that old tires on these guys either. Getting that undercut, again, a little bit of a bigger undercut. The question is, how big do you dare go? There's going to be a sweet spot in there. My guess would have been maybe 5 laps is the, risky, but not so much that, if it works out, you're going to get a very good advantage and could actually pull it off. And that's kind of where Chad Frankenfield and Andrew Rucker are. I wonder if Van de Sant and Thornquist, who are on about 7 to 8 laps of undercut versus Fody and Lytle, could potentially be an even better of a situation here, as Daniel Martinez does come down pit road. So that strategy is unfortunately not going to work out for the 30.
The one thing I liked about the guys that pitted about 5 to 6 laps between the 40 and the 56 going down pit road is the fact that if we did get a yellow flag late in this one, they would have the track position. Those guys would all have to go down pit road, theoretically, and get the best tires there. I don't think we'll see anybody stay out. We've seen tires play too much of a factor, especially just low buying guys on older Goodyear rubber. So these guys are hoping for a little bit of a yellow flag if it were to happen, for it to happen quickly versus when that 40 and the 56 car gets there. So that would be my goal as a driver there. I don't know if I can necessarily hold them off, but hopefully that yellow flag is flying soon here while I have the track position in my hand.
Yeah, for sure. And so this is what your battle for the victory could come down to here. If we stay green, it's going to be your top 7 drivers, realistically. Unfortunately, Wyatt Canado kind of fell off a little bit from this lead group after pit stops. But here you go. It now becomes your top 6 because Tyler Fody, Tate Lytle, both working their way past Chad Frankenfield, and Frankenfield, who already has that slightly older tire wear, is not going to repass those 2 drivers. So these guys are going to be the ones to dictate, really, who's still in this battle. And now you're going to try and slice past Andrew Rucker. They do that with success. They'll get Jared Rexing as well here within the next lap or so, I'd guess. And then the chase begins after Alex Van de Sant and Chad Thornquist further up the road, who are on that strategy run. We tick over to 26 laps to go on the timing screen. It does certainly start to feel right now advantage Lytle and Fody. I think that advantage that they have is going to stay for now. But the question is, eventually they're going to even out between the different tires.
Well, yes. Also, the question is they're going to even out amongst themselves, and who's going to get it. We saw the 56 car decide to take matters into his own hand right there. He kind of used the 10 car as a pick, was able to get around the 40 car, use the momentum from the 10, the draft, and put himself in position to get in front of the 40. But as these guys are trying to run down the 97 and the 02, there is a battle brewing between these 2 chasers, and a golden ticket for Iowa is at stake. So these guys are playing nice for now, but that's with lap 25 to go on the board. We'll see what happens there with lap 20, 15, and eventually 10 and 5 to go.
Yeah.
We have to make our picks there, Rashad.
Oh man,
it's
is it
that
my
time
turn to go first?
It's your turn. Remember the last time you said a car, he went into the wall immediately. So good luck.
He did, didn't he? Oh man. I'm gonna pick. Who's not running anymore?
Not running anymore.
I think Josh Clark is gonna make a miraculous comeback here. Only completed 3 laps in this race, but that's nothing. He's got 24 laps to make him 75 on the rest of these guys. Nah,
it's a bold strategy.
Oh man, I mean, I'm watching these lap times, and you kind of have to pick between either Lytle and Fody. It feels right now, without a caution coming into play and really shaking things up again. And even then, I don't know. They've kind of been the class of the field in the second half of this race. it's tough for me to bet against Tate Lytle. Like Tyler Fody has been super consistent all season. He's had the car that's been thereabouts, but Tate Lytle, when you need a win, I feel like you can look to that 56 car, and whenever he's in a situation where he absolutely needs to grab a win, I feel like he can pull it off, and this could be one of those situations here. He doesn't need it, but it would certainly help him as he came into this race right on the cut line. I'm going to take Tate Lytle here for the victory here in 23 laps. 22.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to have to go with the 40 car there, because he's trailing him. We call him Mr. Consistency, but when it comes, he's consistently good. And hopefully a day where you need to be consistently good is the day we see that 40 car in victory lane for the first time this season as well. So I think he had the 56 car get around him, but I think he's just sizing him up. He's looking, not trying to wear out those tires. And once it's go time in about 20 or so laps, look for that 40 car to be pouncing into the action. Oh, the 02 gets into the wall right in front of him.
Almost gave you a little bit of a heart attack there, I'm sure.
Almost, and I definitely would have cried foul because that's your driver, and I'd have definitely been like, there's some conspiracy going on.
Yeah, Chad's listening here. He's hearing us do our picks, and he's just doing the bidding of the racing gods there. But Tyler Fody, Tate Lytle, both clear Thornquist, and now it really does feel like that two-horse race here. Nobody else to clear. 21 laps to go. They'll come around, hit the stripe, and it'll be 20 to go. Yeah, I mean, between Tate Lytle, Tyler Fody, it's going to be tough to pick between these two. I think either one of them can pull it off here. Again, this is all assuming we stay green. We've seen situations before where you have guys who are far out in front of the rest of the field. Suddenly that caution waves and they get shuffled towards the back, and they have to make it all work again. But for now, these guys doing what they need to do, and I mean, two of just the most consistent, two of the most reliable racers in the field. What a shocker to see them running up front here in a race that, again, they both need to.
And we saw just how crazy the two restarts we have been. I would not count anybody out if we get a yellow flag. This thing is not in the hands of the race winner if we get a yellow flag within the next 19 laps. So if you take... Oh, go ahead there, Rizal, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, guys have been fairly good on this long run. Now that we've gotten a little bit of separation, I think what we saw was mistakes being compounded by guys being collected. So with guys all being spread out right now, it's been tougher, I think, for them to cause a caution. But using the 05 as a pick, how about that for Tyler Fody, making the pass for the lead, and now grabbing that back from Tate Lytle, and it swaps. Probably not for the last time here, but definitely getting down to it as Tate Lytle already looking back on the attack.
Yeah, two things kind of happened right there. You saw the the 33 newer tires once again. I think that allowed that 40 car to get some draft, and he was able to swing to the inside as he was already picking up the draft from the 05 behind him. But now Daniel Martinez go around to the outside. Lap traffic is also going to play a factor with how these guys, are catching them. That's what really switched the lead right there. So how these leaders are able to navigate tires and cars in front of them over the next 18 laps, 17 next time by, it could be the deciding factor between somebody going to Iowa with a chance for a championship and somebody on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's going to make you nervous here from the eyesight of Tate Lytle. 3 wide for lap cars right in front of you, all battling for position, and you're just trying to slide on by and say, thank you guys, thank you very much. We're just trying to, race for a shot for a championship here. Fortunately, they do a good job at kind of staying in the lane, but a lot of lap traffic right now throughout the field, and we can even see if we can pull up the good old track map here and take a look here, because I think it's going to be a little bit hectic for these guys. And there you see in orange the 56 just coming off of turn number 4. There's not really going to be too many situations or too many options for these guys to have clean air. And look a little bit further down the road. I don't know if they'll get there before the end of this race, but the 12 car But Vincent Isabella, teammate of Tyler Fody, can he play a little bit of a factor here, helping out his teammates if these two leaders catch up to that lap car of the 12?
Oh man, the drama. That would ensure if that were to indeed happen. We'll see, but right now the 40 making my pick look extremely good so far. But you cannot count out Tate Lytle right there, and I believe Lytle might have the faster car. How about that 84 Wyatt Canadle? He's underneath the 97. This is a battle inside the top 5. Wow, they are more than touching. They are leaning on one another. Will that bring out a caution? It does! Lytle gets turned in front of the 97, and just like that, we are put under the caution flag for the 3rd time today after things got too close between the 84 and the 97, arguing over a top 5 position, and this brings everybody into the picture.
Yeah, this is the most impactful caution of the day, unless you're David Tooker or Josh Clark, because right here, this absolutely changes it up for the race for the end. And there you see just the 84, I think, just tracking up. I don't think the 97 really had anywhere to go. We'll see what race control's call is on that, but...
And somebody actually right in front of them lost the car trying to avoid that. Was that Rucker in the 64? Somebody bounced off the wall hard just ahead of these guys trying to avoid that. He gets on the apron as we take a look. They run out of release date, and then look at the 64 car. Yes, I believe Rucker slams the safer barrier.
Oh, wow.
After getting loose, avoiding that. So there might have been 3 cars with damage right there. That happened in front of another chaser, Chad Frankenfield. He was able to get away.
And Scott Crump as well gets caught up, and he slams into the outside wall. Not a slam there, but a little bit of a catch-up. So similar issue there to what I think we saw with Andrew Rucker. And yeah, Scott Crump gets caught up in that as well, just kind of avoiding the melee. So, all right, here we go. Here's the call. Do you pit or no? I say you've got to. I think 15 to go. These tires are pretty old right now. The last laps these guys were running were in the high 42s. I think everybody's going to have to come down pit road, and I think they will.
Yeah, and if you're the 40 and the 56, I mean, as we see, there was no tally issued right there. Just hard racing. But if you're the 40 and 56, you're obviously just a little bit disappointed. You wanted that to go green all the way to the very end, but if you're one of those guys that doesn't have a 40 or 56 on the side of the car, this is an opportunity in order to make the most out of your day.
Yeah, a 2-man race for the race win just became probably a 10-man race for the race win now, given this restart. So it's all to play for between these drivers. Everybody had pace at one point or the other during this event, and now everybody has the same tires. Everybody has the same strategy. It is it's going to be a straight-up 10-lap sprint here, assuming we do stay green to the end here after this particular caution, or do we go to green, white, checker? Do we have another caution before the end of this one? We'll have to see how that plays out as well. But Fody and Lytle will be the first 2 off the pit road, but now Jared Rexing is back in the picture. Chad Thornquist, Andrew Rucker, Chad Frankenfield, Trey Holmes, Nick Massey, Jesse Razimus. How about that for the 70 car? Involved in that first wreck of the day up inside the top 10. Wyatt Canadle actually dropped all the way down to 10th position here, of course, after the incident. But yeah, I mean, all of these guys, you look at them and you say, all of them have been up front more or less at some point in this race. What's going to stop them from being up front at this point in the race as well, now that they have the opportunity to do that?
So we'll restart there with 12 laps to go, probably 11 next time we get the green flag. It might even be about 10, considering how fast we double up right here. But yes, I mean, this race is now wide open. Oh, sorry, my dog is barking. So while we're under this yellow flag here, and if we don't double up right here, how about we just, I think, are we looking to go double wide?
I believe we are. We are.
Yes. I am going to, sorry, y'all. That is Dega. If you hear the Dega, you know it means things are about to get exciting. He only tunes in when it's worth watching, and it's been worth watching the entire day. So that's probably why you've heard him barking in the background all night. But man, our picks, they're doing good so far here, Asaf. But you know, with our commentator curse, well, we may have probably caused that caution.
We
in a way.
may have doomed this. This is an indirect. We're moving to indirect ways of messing with the drivers that we pick. It's not going to be just like you crash as soon as I say your name. We're gonna find the most long and painful way to ruin these guys' races.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dave puts up a tally marker and it says us as commentators. We would deserve that.
We'll see. We'll see how this plays out for these guys, but I'm nervous for it. I'm gonna keep my eye out here for Dave. So we'll see. Right now, though, Fody and Lytle in the best positions, of course, on this restart. But
interesting to note, the 40 car decided to use the outside lane. So he's the control car. We'll see what happens as the pace car ducks onto pit road for cover. We have just 22 miles left in the California 200. Who's going to be California dreaming? We are about to find out. Green flag back in the air. Tyler Fody with a well of a jump there, side by side for second. Tate Lytle getting a good shove from the 10 car of Jared Rexing. Now he'll give chase, but he's still about 2 car lengths behind the 40 car, who got a well of a jump on that start.
Yeah, and remember now, Thornquist, Rexing, Rucker, all there on your screen, not chase drivers, but the 15 car Chad Frankenfield is a chase driver, hasn't won yet this season, just like Tyler Fody. He's now starting to roll forward, and what have we said about this 15 car? What has his strength been? All season long, short run pace. He's given a short run on a silver platter here, an opportunity. Chad Frankenfield, look for him to potentially move up here very quickly as the laps wind down here in California.
Some of these drivers en route to get their best season finish as well. You see Trey Holmes taking a look underneath Andrew Rucker. Those were the drivers on your front row, and Holmes trying to get his first top 5 in his career. He's done an excellent job. He gets a little bit loose, gathers it up. Here comes the 64 car back on the offense, and he'll dive underneath the 88 car in turn number 3. This is a side-by-side battle just outside the top 5. Things heating up, though. The 15 there checked up to 10 as we see the 02 give chase to the 56, and here comes Tate Lytle taking a look underneath the 40 car. At the stripe, they're side-by-side. Tate Lytle trying to take it away from 40.
Yeah, Lytle with that inside lane there, the shorter way around the racetrack. We'll see if it works out for him. I think it might just, I don't know if he'll clear the 40, but he'll at least be ahead, and he might actually just clear. So this could go back and forth here for a few laps, and does this now allow the Chads to catch up? Chad Thornquist, Chad Frankenfield diving into the corners, huge speed on corner entry and on corner exit. Look at this, the 15 car very much coming into contention. The 02 car very much in contention now, chasing down Tyler Fody. This is not just a 2-car race anymore. This could be, right now, I'd say it's a 4-car race, but don't count out Jared Rexing either. Fody back to the inside, trying to make a pass on Tate Lytle.
Yes, a crossover move. You saw the 56 car able to get around the 40. As we see a little bit of a blip. Ooh, somebody in the that top 10 had an issue there with their connection. It might have been that 48 car, Nick Massey. Here comes the 02 trying to play spoiler. And he'll now rocket to the outside of the 40 car as the Tate Lytle machine swings to the inside as there's slight contact between the Chad and the 40. My goodness, the Chads and the 40 car. Wow, Thornquist turns across the nose, almost getting turned by the 40 car, who now swings to the outside. Things are aggressive inside the top 5.
Yeah, guys doing whatever they can. If you're Chad Frankenfield, if you cannot win this race, you need to make sure that it's Chad Frankenfield or Jared Rexing there in victory lane, or any one of these other non-chasers. Improve your chances of making that final 4. Frankenfield, the last thing he wants to see is Tyler Fody or Tate Lytle inside that final 4. Maybe, potentially, Fody he'd be okay with, because Fody's relatively good to the cut line. Actually, maybe not after that last race. I forget actually where they are. But either way, you know, it is very, very, very tight here in this chase grid. And for Frankenfield, if you're not bringing that 15 car, for any of these chases, if you're not bringing your car into victory lane, you want to see a non-chaser bring their car into victory lane here. And Chad Thornquist right now is relaying those hopes for those guys. If they can't be in victory lane, Thornquist right now has an opportunity to take it from Tate Lytle.
Tate Lytle has won a playoff race in one of every last 5 rounds we've had in the JoinAPS.com Cup Series here. He's trying to get his 6th one here tonight. He's done a well of a job there so far as the Battle of the Chads continues to heat up. It will be 5 to go at the stripe. Fody, though, able to get to 2nd place there, set his sights on the 56, but look at them slicing and dicing. That's Trey Holmes all the way to the infield practically trying to get around that 10 car, Jared Rexing.
Yeah, guys all over the racetrack right now. Super competitive here, really top 6, top 7. Jesse Razimus, shout out again to that 70 car hanging on with this lead pack right now. A little bit of a gap back to Andrew Rucker between Razimus and the 64 car, but that's closing up as well. Single filing out right now as it's Lytle, Fody, Thurnquist, Rexing, Frankenfield, the first car out of line on that back straightaway, and now they start to file out for turns 3 and 4. And again, it's still Lytle with the advantage. 4 laps to go as they'll cross the stripe this time by, but definitely not over in this race for the lead. A lane forming up top. We'll see if they get some.
Yeah, Frankenfield kind of got sandwiched out of the draft right there toward the inside. He's desperately trying to look and try to minimize the bleeding that he's had. He's been trying to fight on the inside, but he's been hung in that inside lane, and now look at them stack up there behind there. There's no hole. Jared Rexing and Trey Holmes both filling that position there, as Fody is right on the back bumper of the 56 car, but man, that dirty air playing spoiler in a big way. Chad Thurnquist doing all he can in that 0-2 as well.
Frankenfield starting to kind of drop down the order just a little bit. That big pace advantage that he had seems to have just dropped away a little bit. Did he heat up those tires just a little bit too much? So now it kind of starts to fade a little bit more. Maybe not. Frankenfield dives it there into turn number 1. Back around Trey Holmes, who has a little bit of a blink there. It is still Lytle, Fody, Thurnquist, Rexing, though, very much in the picture right now, and he's trying to see if he can catch up to these guys, try and make a move, try and get to victory lane in that 10 car. But as we get to 2 laps to go, it starts to look, you start narrowing that number of cars that could come across the line in first, down 1 by 1. And again, it still feels like it's Tate Lytle and Tyler Fody. And how about that? After all of that, after that restart, those two still right now sitting on top. With 2 to go, it looks very much like it could be back to this 2-horse race. Tyler Fody now has to see if he can make a lasting move. But again, look out for that 0-2. He's starting to look low as well on the 40 car. Could potentially make a move. The 15 car trying all the way up the racetrack, seeing if he can get that run down this back straightaway.
Yes, just 5 more miles to go here as they reach the back straightaway there, Fody. He's right on the back bumper of Tate, but he can't get to him. Can't do anything with them. And his ticket to Iowa and a chance for a championship could reside by getting around that 56 car. One of these guys is going to enter their name into the playoff championship picture. The other person is going to have to make sure they have a well of a race at Bristol. We'll find out in less than 2 miles with the white flag in the wind. Here comes the Fody of Tyler Fody diving underneath. Will it be enough? He's on the inside.
Tate Lytle made that move earlier in the race and made it work. We'll see down this back straightaway. Here they go, side by side. Lytle with the minor advantage over Tyler Fody, but Fody with that preferred line on the inside. Shorter way around the racetrack, but Lytle holding on right now, still at the quarter panel. If Fody can clear the 56 car, it would be the end of this race. They're coming to the start-finish line.
It will! He does it out of turn 4, and Mr. Consistency is gonna be finally rewarded with a win. They'll crash across the start-finish line, but the 40 car has entered his name inside the championship picture. He'll race with a chance of getting that championship for the JoinAPS.com Cup Series. How about that last lap pass by Tyler Fody?
Wow. Wow. Fantastic drive there. And what's crazy is that was the move that Tate Lytle pulled on Tyler Fody to grab the lead a few laps earlier, maybe 10, 15 laps earlier in the race. And he goes back and does that on Tate Lytle on the last lap. Again, it's watching, learning as much as you possibly can. So when it comes down to the last lap at a track like this, you can make that move that you need to make to win the race. And that you have to accredit that absolutely to Tyler Fody, watching, learning, understanding what goes on the racetrack. And he knew that move. If he made that in turn number 1, got the inside line in 1, eventually coming off of turn number 4, he would be in front. Fantastic drive by Tyler Fody.
And an excellent finish to end this one here. My goodness. We knew it wasn't a question of if, but when this 40 car would visit victory lane. He did so there, perhaps so dramatically, and it's going to result with him in a chance for a championship here in 2 weeks' time. Congratulations to the California winner, who's taken some much-needed donuts there. Perhaps the most rewarding part of this season, definitely by far for this man. He's finished in every position you can, except for first place, and tonight he's got it done this season.
Yeah, he's been ridiculously consistent throughout the regular season, and then suddenly in the chase, we started noticing just small issues for the 40 car. Obviously, had a couple of good runs to lock himself into this round, and then at Talladega, it started to look a little bit, made you feel a little bit nervous for the 40 car. But of course, he advanced. Then of course we get to this round, and last week, major issues got caught up in a number of incidents. So was lost a lot of that points buffer he had built up over the course of the regular season, but then comes out today and when he needed it the most there, grabbing that victory, locks himself into that championship Final Four. And now with Fody and Tarian being two of those drivers, in my head I think, okay, the next two have to be Lytle and Massey, and that's the crazy thing. Nick Massey is not locked into that Final Four, and with the way the points played out today, I mean, Nick Massey should be okay, eighth place finisher, but I'm not 100% sure if he is locked in, and that could be another factor there, but there could just be one spot available there for the drivers next week.
Oh my goodness, we're going to have to buckle it down and count all that for you guys at home, but we're going to get some of these drivers, our podium finishers here today, as you take a look at the top 20 on your screen. I'm just excited because I picked somebody that won in the commentator curse will not be on me this week.
Oh
yay,
my
yay.
Gosh.
I want you to explain to the 56 why he finished second there, Rashav. It was your fault.
Oh, no. We will have to talk to him as well whenever we get to our top three finishers. Just waiting on either Jared Rexing or Tyler Fody to speak with our podium finishers. But yeah, oh man,
a great finish though, a great finish between these two veterans of our sport.
And you could tell there was a lot of respect, I think, between those guys. They've raced each other how many times, and gone to victory lane, when racing against each other, and again, ultimate respect there on the racetrack. Fair moves between both of them. I don't think there was any contact between those cars. Fantastic racing across the board. So right now, just waiting to hear in. I see Tyler Fody lurking in another one of our chats, and here he is finally. Steps out of the race car, we'll say, and we'll bring him in here. Second place on so many occasions this season, but not tonight. Tyler Fody, when it maybe mattered the most there, grabbing that victory here in Fontana. But, I mean, you had the car really to win all race long, fighting back and forth with Tate Lytle there for the majority of the race, it felt. And to continue sparring with him and to make that last lap move to grab the win. Just talk us through, obviously, your emotions, grabbing finally that first win of the season, advancing on to Iowa, and also what it was like racing there with the 56.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It's probably the biggest relief of the year, to be honest with you. I just have not been able to finish one of these off for one reason or another. And coming into tonight was really not looking forward to it based on how practice was going, and just how the setup was. And I mean, early on, we got 2 early cautions. That first 20 laps or so in traffic felt pretty decent, but not great. But it was like a light switch got turned on once the tires wore out. Everyone was falling off, and it just seemed to be a little better for us. Same with Tate. I mean, I don't know where he started, but he seemed to come up through the field with me too. And yeah, then it was just us two pretty much the whole way. And it was kind of a game of chicken on who wanted to lead and who wanted to try and get the slingshot on the other guy, back and forth on that long run. Executing the green flag stop was crucial. And it probably would have ended up pretty close to how it did there if it had gone green the whole way. But I'm just happy that, Tate and I got to battle it out after all that. So huge shout out to him also for being a good sport out there, top-notch driving, of course.
And, we were talking about that during our brief post-race introduction about how the respect between you guys, you could obviously see it was there between you guys racing was such an important thing, such as a championship berth being handed out at the end of this one. There was that in your mind at all, or was it just simply get to victory lane?
No, I mean, I had a solid buffer coming into this round, and then just the way my luck has been, we got caught up in another incident, not of our own doing, at Las Vegas, and I think came into here -4 or 5, so I'd lost all that cushion that I had. So really tonight I was just going to try and manage it and have a little bit of a buffer going into Bristol, because that's going to be crazy. But then the first couple wrecks I saw took out 2 or 3 contenders, so I was thinking we have a little bit of a better shot. And then when it came down to me and Tate, I mean, even still, I was just thinking, if you can't win it, at least just get the second, bring the points in and go into the next week with a buffer. But I mean, huge respect to Tate. I dove it in there, but had no intention of trying to wash him out. Was just going to hold it there. I was actually surprised with how much grip it had, and it was turning, so I stayed with it. But yeah, I mean, a huge relief now. So we'll go out and try and have some fun at Bristol, I guess. Maybe steal another one.
All right, man. Well, into the championship for and fighting for another shot at an elite JoinAPS Cup Series champion. Want to give you the chance to make some shout outs here on the air as a race winner here in the California 200.
Yeah, I got to shout out Vince. Rough night. He got into a few incidents, but with everyone else kind of having some trouble, other chase guys having some trouble, he maybe we'll be looking a little better going into Bristol. So going to be trying to help him out the most I can. Shout out to you guys for doing the commentating. Big shout out to Blue Egg Marketing for being on the car. And also thanks to Chad for putting these leagues on.
All right, well, congratulations again there. Tyler Fody, race winner, crazy as it is to say, for the first time in 2022 in the Cup Series. So congratulations there, and we'll see you, of course, in the championship round.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
All right, Tyler Fody there. We'll talk to the man he dueled with there for the majority of the race. These two went back and forth at it. Ultimately, Fody came out on top, but Tate Lytle. Tate, first, I got to start by saying I am sorry. I did pick you as my pick for the race winner when we came down to it, so I apologize. That might have been a factor there at the end, but let the record show I did try to go for Clark first, and Alex wouldn't let me get away with that one.
Nope, that doesn't count.
but still an incredible drive, man. I mean, the dueling between you and Tyler Fody, some of the best wheel-to-wheel racing I think we've seen all season long. Talk us through, obviously, a little bit of disappointment there, coming up just short, but back-to-back second-place finishes here. Certainly has to feel like things are trending in the right direction to make that final race in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely trending in the right direction. Definitely a bit of a heartbreaker there. But, I mean, it was going to be one of us for sure, and I have no idea where he found that grip in 1 and 2. I probably should have pinched him a little bit more, but I just kept telling myself, like, even if I get second, it's better than 18th. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't put myself into a hole for next week after the way we ran. And I mean, it was going to be a coin toss between me and Fody the whole race anyway. Once we kind of got strung out there, Wyatt was pretty fast. He was able to hang on to us there for a while. I think he had some trouble on pit road, but even had it gone green, you're probably still going to see a similar race to that. I don't know who would have been trying to pass who or what would have happened, but it was going to be a side-by-side on the last couple laps for sure. And I don't know. He drove a pretty incredible last couple laps there. I was trying to take his line away and just keep the run, and had to burp it a little bit with 2 to go and 1 and 2, and that kind of gave him the run to get right up on me. And then coming into 1 and 2 the last time, he looked like he was just going to hang behind me. So I was like, well, I'm going to back it up and try and get a good run. And he dove it below me, and I kind of let him, trying to be able to get the power down on the outside. But I don't know, man. That was some impressive stuff by him. And we were drag racing down the backstretch, and kind of same thing in 3 and 4. I just wanted to make sure I gave myself the best run at it. And he drove it off in there, cleared me, and still had pace off the corner. So you got to hand it to the guy. He ran a pretty good race, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously bummed that I came out on the losing end, but it's been a really good streak for me here in the last couple weeks in all sorts of racing. So it's hard to be too disappointed. Second stinks, especially when you lose it on the last lap like that. But with a car like the next gen car, with how much draft it has, it's like, well, I mean, what are you going to do? It just depends on which side of the equation you're on. But got to thank Brent Wentz, Days Gone By, Vintage Racing Apparel. Check out his Twitter handle. He's got an Etsy linked in the bio. A lot of cool racing stuff. I've been fortunate to be able to tell you guys this the last couple of weeks, so hopefully you guys have actually done it by now. But yeah, I mean, that should give us a pretty good buffer. I don't even know where the next race is. I haven't even looked, but
Bristol.
Yeah, we ran good there last year. We led over 100 laps at Bristol last year. Ended up coming back for second after a pit road issue. So I like our chances there. Just can't get caught up in any of the extracurricular activities down there. But I mean, hopefully we can take 20 points or so. I don't really know where we're at. I think we're +4. I know Tucker had some problems. I think Chad ended up okay. Massey ended up okay. I don't know where we'll really end up. I mean, it's going to be a slugfest either way. So we just got to go down there and give it our best effort. But yeah, stinks to finish second, but also if you're going to do it, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Well, you answered every one of my questions I was going to have. As I was already thanking her. So I'll finish off with this. You know, you've won a playoff race, 1 out of the last 4 rounds that we've had, excluding the championship, which makes it 5. So you're going. You look like you could still keep that intact by winning at Bristol. And you said that you led over 100 laps right there, as well. But you know, this next gen car, it's throwing a bit of a wrench to everybody out there. You seem to be better, receiving it than others. But what about this season has just stood out to you as far as the parity amongst your competition and how hard it has been to try and defend your championship? You are the reigning champion.
I mean, it doesn't matter what car it is. It's going to be hard to defend a championship. But, I mean, this car on these tracks like Auto Club, there's just so much draft. So, I mean, it took me and Fody 25 laps to kind of even show everyone, hey, we're here to actually play, not just to screw around for 20 laps and then, biff it with our tires. And I mean, I fell back to 16th at the beginning of that long run. I was like, I mean, everyone was just throwing it into the corner, and I was able to save that right front. And then once I got by Fody, he just kind of attached to my back end, Wyatt too, and we just drove away from the field. So, I mean, it's just so much draft. And that last restart, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was surprised I led as long as I did. There's just so much draft, and I was able to kind of manipulate the air enough to not let him get right up next to me. But I knew that as soon as Fody got clear, at some point he was going to come back after me, and just wish he would have done it when he did. I wish I would have had enough room for another lap. But I mean, Bristol's going to be crazy regardless. And this car is a lot different now than it was last time we ran there. I don't really know how it's going to drive, but I mean, I love Bristol. I just hope we can have some green flag runs and not get caught up in someone else's mess. I think if we just finish where we're supposed to finish, we're going to be just fine. Whether that's first, second, sixth, we'll see where the speed is, but as long as we can go down there, finish where we're supposed to finish, we'll be just fine, and we'll be racing Shane and Fody at Iowa. So, I mean, I don't know. Iowa's not my best track anyway, so, I mean, I'm going to be at a disadvantage going in there. I mean, it's been a while since I've ran it, and I'll probably do some practice laps if I do end up making it. But, I don't know. This car is just crazy. You gotta be patient. You gotta get lucky. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better on that end of being patient. And so far, we've gotten lucky to where we haven't gotten caught up in someone else's mess, because I know there were some big crashes in this race. So I don't know. We'll see where we end up, but I like our chances.
All right. Well, thank you, Tate Lytle there, our second place finisher. Second week in a row there, P2, but it has worked in your favor. You do walk into next week with a 28-point buffer, I believe, over the cut line. So best of luck there at Bristol, and we hope we'll be racing there in that Final Four in 2 weeks' time.
Sorry to interrupt, but if you have the points in front of you, am I like obviously third in the?
You are fourth with Tyler Fode and Shane Terrian locked in. Nick
Okay.
Massey sits ahead of you by 13 points.
Okay.
In third, effectively, you will be fourth, and then Chad Frankenfield is a further 28 points behind you in fifth.
All right, so we just got to go down there and not let any of those guys win. So
there you go.
I mean, it's Bristol. I think the patience will pay off. As long as you don't get caught up in something else, patience will pay off, and hopefully we'll be racing for championship here in a couple weeks. Thank you guys for watching us, though, and listening to my 9-hour rant here.
All right, best of luck there. Have a good night there, Tate Lytle.
2.
All right, and yeah, kind of alluded to it just a little bit earlier, but we do have the points coming out of this race, and with Tyler Fode, Shane Terrian locked in, Nick Massey currently sits, what is that? I believe that's 41 points over the cut line. In theory, I believe by starting next week, Nick Massey will lock himself into the championship 4. So it all comes down to that last spot. Tate Lytle then needs to either win himself at Bristol or ensure that no other chase driver goes to victory lane, or that Tyler Fode, Shane Terrian, or Nick Massey go to victory lane, and Tate Lytle will then ensure himself a spot in that final 4. And I think you look at those 4 drivers, and those feel like the 4 most fitting drivers. Though, of course, Bristol might be more of a wild card than Talladega or Auto Club or Las Vegas or really any of the tracks we've been to this season.
Well, and you say the most fitting of our drivers there, but that's what I love about our championship, program. You could be one of the best drivers all season long, but when it comes to having your name up on lights and needing to perform here, you're going to have to be the best. It's not enough to be like, okay, I had a great season, just like what we talked about with Tyler Fode and how consistency he had. He had 2 bad races there. He really needed to step it up, and he did so by winning. So any one of these drivers, I know we talked about David Tooker, Joshua Clark, any one of those guys could surprise. I think Tate Lytle, he comes in there a little bit of unknown, but he has a chance of being bumped out, and we've seen some crazy things happen during that last race. My favorite pass of all time, occurred back in 2014 during the penultimate race at Phoenix with Ryan Newman bumping Kyle Larson out of the way in order to make sure that he made it into the next round. That move bumped out Jeff Gordon, who had a dominant season, by that one pass. It is my favorite pass of all time. I love that pass.
Oh my God. I was going to say, I remember 2020, Kevin Harvick, it was a similar situation. He won, like 7, 8 races, 9 races, I think, that season, didn't make the Final 4. So it's certainly possible. And yeah, I mean, that's why we run this format, isn't it?
It is very much always rewarding. And unfortunately, Rashad, you won't be there to call it with me. So I'm going to need your lap 26 point now.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? You know what? Because I will not be a commentator during that week, I don't think it will be a commentator's curse. What if I tweet this out while I'm watching the race from home? Because I won't be able to be with you guys, but I will absolutely be tuning in from wherever I am, because that is going to be one hell of a race, I'm sure. I will tweet it out. You can hold me to that. You can write it in your reminders. Somebody remind me on Wednesday afternoon.
Will accept that answer.
I will tweet out who I believe, because I refuse to say it on the air and curse them, because with the microphone in front of me, there is absolutely a curse involved.
Oh, yes, that's very true. Sign us up here for Stranger Things right here. I don't know if anybody's currently watching that, but Duffy Brothers, I think you might have a season 5 with us. But anyway, let's go ahead and clear this up. I mean, this has been one hell of a race. It's been great. It's been fun. Sorry if it was at times rambling on my end, getting over a sickness there. But something that I love doing is following this series. And I think tonight proved exactly why the Elite Racing League is one of the best on iRacing here. You can just never count anybody out.
You absolutely cannot, and there's so many opportunities for guys to bounce back again. You look at Bristol. David Tooker, your defending race winner at Bristol, is one of those guys outside looking in. Josh Adams, always strong outside looking in. Vincent Isabella, Josh Clark, all have an opportunity there to make something happen. I don't quite know their results off the top of my head at Bristol in the past. Chad Frankenfield, of course, we know how strong he's been this season in that 15 car. If he can string together a race, that could come together. So all of these guys could potentially knock out those drivers who currently sit in that top 4. And a reminder then, Shane Terry and Tyler Fody both locked in. Nick Massey next week by starting the race should lock himself into the final 4, and then that leaves that final spot up for grabs. Right now, Tate Lytle has it and shouldn't relinquish it due to points, barring any crazy circumstances, of course. But, of course, a race win for any of those other chasers would guarantee them a spot into that final 4 race in Iowa for the JoinAPS Cup Series Championship. We're just going to have to wait and find out.
Oh, yes, we are. The world's fastest half mile is going to decide our championship 4. We'll be bringing that to you live right here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday. You don't want to miss out on who we expect to be fighting for a championship at the end of that one. But from here in sunny California, we are so glad you were able to join us here today for the California 200. From all of us for the Elite Racing Network, we hope you join us in next week's time at Bristol Motor Speedway. But from now, good night, so long, and congratulations to Tyler Fody, winner of the California 200 tonight.